Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and to some more turkey patterning, and today we've got a really interesting shell and choke combo to try out, and I really don't quite know what we're going to see. It could be surprisingly impressive or it could be a little bit on the disappointing side. We know these are good shells, but we've never really tried them through a choke like this, so I don't know exactly what we're going to see just yet. But as for those shells I've got today, I brought out some of these, the Herter's TSS loads, but these are the 20 gauge, 3 inch, 1.5 ounce payload of TSS 9s, moving about 1,200 feet per second. Now, if you've been around the channel for any length of time now, you know that the Herter's TSS loads are some very consistent and reliable performers. They've given us some of the best patterns we've seen on the channel, to be honest with you. So I know what to expect from these shells. I know how they usually perform. So we'll see how they do through today's choke combo. But as for today's setup, I brought out my Stevens 301 20 gauge. It has a 26-inch barrel on it, but for the choke, this is a very standard flush style extra full choke. This particular one measures out right at a 585 constriction, which is very much the usual for an extra full and a 20 gauge, but it's a flush choke and there's absolutely nothing fancy about it. So I don't know how this is going to perform. The Herter stuff does not seem to be super picky about constriction. They've performed well through just about everything, but the big thing here with these 301s is they use the standard invector / wind choke threads, and they are a very short choke. They are about the length of this little raised front bead sight piece here. So it's a very short, quick window for it all to constrict down right at the end of the barrel. Is that going to help us out any, since it's a little bit more open of a choke? Or is that going to potentially blow our pattern open because everything gets tight right at the very end here? I don't know, but we'll see what happens. But as for our test today, everything is set up the same as usual. The turkey target's at 40 yards, and I've got the chronograph so we can get our velocity from the shells. So let's get you guys to view that target and see what the Herter shells can give us through this flush 585 extra full choke. I don't know what we're going to see yet, but let's take our shot and see what kind of a pattern it gives us. Alright, so that shell gave us 1203 through the chrono. The boss claim is 1200, so we pretty much nailed it right on the money there from that 26-inch barrel. So looking perfect for a velocity up here. But let's go check out our 40-yard target and see what that flush extra full choke was able to give us. Alright, so here is that 40-yard target, and I gotta say, that's pretty solid for what this is. We absolutely have a dead turkey there all day long. You got a nice hot core there right in that 10-inch circle on that turkey paper. You've got a number of them right down through the spine that would have absolutely gotten that bird, no doubt about it. There's nowhere left or right in there that he can move to and get away from you. So very nice looking hunting pattern here overall. It's definitely not the tightest pattern we've seen from these Herter's 20 gauge shells by any means, but that is a very nice, very usable hunting pattern. It's a little bit more open at 40 yards. It might not have that super tight baseball looking core like a lot of the patterns do from those shells, but I really like how that pattern performed. It's more than good enough for 40 or 45 yards. So yeah, I'd say that's a very nice hunting pattern. Now in this core, it's a pretty even spread of them. Not really too many big voids in there to take note of at all. Around the edges, we do have a couple little sporadic things. It might not be a perfectly circular pattern, like there's some down there at the bottom and a little bit of stringy stuff over here off the left and maybe a couple flyers up top there. So it's not perfect, and we do pick up a couple of voids, like right over here off the middle left of that turkey paper. There might be a little one or two over there. So around the very edges, it might not be 1000% perfect, but for that pattern overall, I don't think we really have too much to complain about there. So for a flush, extra full 585 plain Jane old choke like that, I'd say that performed pretty well. I didn't expect to see a super tight pattern out of it, but I also didn't know how it was going to perform coming into it, since it is a much more open choke than a lot of turkey chokes are in 20 gauge, and that choke is very short, so we have all of our constriction right at the end of the barrel, and that could have very well blown our pattern wide open, having 1.5 ounces worth of BBs hitting that much constriction all at once. And I really don't think it did that at all. It really doesn't show any signs of blowing the edges open or anything like that. So yeah, I would not hesitate in the slightest to hunt with that turkey pattern all day long. And I really like how that performed. You don't have a ton of flyers all over the place. The pattern does give you a little bit more leeway while still having more than enough pellets in a 10-inch circle right in the middle there to get the job done easily to 40 and 45 yards and probably even 50. So I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed today. I don't think we can argue too much about that. That's a very solid 20 gauge turkey hunting pattern all day long. And here's the wad out of that shell. Very standard Herter's equipment. These shells are made by Winchester, so it looks like the same wads they use in a lot of their turkey shells as well. But this one looks perfectly fine. Just a little bit of scuffing up here at the very top of it. Nothing major at all. No rips, tears, pinholes, nothing stuck down in there. And I'd say it did its job about as good as what you could have asked for it to do today. So these seem to be some pretty good performing wads, pretty much no matter what choke we've run them through. So nothing to see here as far as this wad goes. Alright y'all, well, what did you think about that performance right there? I'd say that is a very solid huntable 20 gauge turkey pattern all day long. It might not be the tightest pattern we've seen from that shotgun or those shells or the combination of the two of them, but I wouldn't hesitate to take that out. And honestly, I really like that pattern. I don't mind having a nice hot core, nice tight looking pattern, but a lot of times when you're taking birds at between 20 and 30 or 25 and 35 yards, you really don't need those screaming tight patterns. And that right there is gonna get the job done for you all day long and give you a little bit more breathing room as well compared to some of those other super tight turkey chokes. So definitely not bad at all. I don't think there's a whole lot to argue with there. And if you're one of those guys that really cares about their barrel length, although it is minimal, having a flush choke like that might cut an inch, inch and a half, whatever the case might be, off of your total barrel length, and that could be appealing to you as well. So that is another very small little bonus attribute, I suppose, to this combination. Either way, that's a pattern that no turkey is ever going to make it through out to 40 yards all day long. So leave your thoughts about it down below. Is that about what you expected to see? Were you surprised one way or the other? Have you tested any of those Herter's TSS shells through a flush extra full choke like that? And if so, what kind of results have you seen from them? Is that a pattern or a combination that you would hunt with? Or do you still prefer it to be a little bit tighter overall than that? And what other shells or choke combos do you want to see with either those Herter shells or that flush extra full choke? Seems to be a pretty decent performer, so let me know if there's something else you might want to see through it. Overall here, I'd call that a win. Definitely can't complain too much about that result. That's a turkey killing pattern any day of the week. But with that being said, I've got some more testing to get done for you guys, so I'm going to get back to it. As always, we have the channel Instagram as well as the mailbox where you can send stuff if you'd like. All that information will be in the description down below if you're interested in it, but I'm going to get back to it, so I'll see y'all in the next one.